Hello, it's an incredible morning here in Dhaka, and I'm back with a new edition of Thinking Fast and Slow. I'm as much slower I can and doing procrastination with my whole heart, using procrastination as a tool to prioritize my items. And these days, I have been feeling a lot overwhelmed, mentally busy, and like I'm not feel busy, but the thing is that a lot of things are going on inside my mind which is making me feel busy in my mind. And as a process, or as the result of the process of having a busy mind, I am ending up doing nothing. This is a very interesting pattern I observe very often in my life, that the tricks of my stupid mind, that um, it is diverting my attention to my maladaptive coping pattern with my life, like obsessive eating, excessive eating, or exercising, or something um, more than the balance limit to cope with life, or the stress and anxiety that comes up with overwhelmed overwhelmed. Anyways, I've been trying to introduce a healthy pause in my life. That means um, whatever is making me um, overwhelmed, that's not making me go down in my life. I mean, everything outer than me is not my own. So, like, I'm getting too much attached with the idea of these external things, like whatever it is, and the little human inside me that feels unearthly or feels like I'm a bogus boo is coming uh, alive again and again, feeling frightened and um, trying to run away or escape in places, seeking comfort like food or other coping patterns. Like I have been eating a lot, and as I have shared that I lost about one third of my body weight in 2019, and I wanted to maintain that for the next 5 years, but I had gained a lot of weight, which is making me internally frustrated. But I don't know, but I have the loss or the harm so far done is not that bad. I can cope with that. But at this moment, I'm trying to introduce healthy pause in my life through site meditation, so that I can take control what is going on in my inner mind, like the constant running, ramming tape that you are unworthy, or the intrusive thoughts that is going on inside my inner child. I read somewhere like every person has a child within himself and also an adult. So, like, um, it's the combination of the both. So, at this moment, the child within me needs a little bit more care, and I'm trying to take very good care of myself physically, mentally, spiritually. Anyways, I will start my timer and start reading. Okay, I had decided to use the timer of an app. I am reading a book. I am reading a book. Okay. I need to find where I was at the beginning. I completely forgot where I was. Okay, I found something. I don't know if I miss. I will come back to it later. Avoiding thought of white bears inhibiting the emotional response to a starting film, making a series of choices that involve conflict trying to impress others, responding kindly to a partner's bad behavior, um, interacting with a person of a different race or prejudiced individuals. The list of indications of depletions also highly diverse. Depletion is also highly diverse. Deviating from someone's diet, overspending on impulsive purchases, reacting aggressively to provocation, persisting less time in a hand grip task, performing poorly in cognitive tasks and logical decision making. The evidence is persuasive. Activities that impose high demands on system 2 require self-control, and the exertion of self-control is depleting and unpleasant. Unlike cognitive load, ego depletion is at least is part of a loss of motivation. After exerting self-control in one task, you do not feel like making an effort in another. Although you could do if you really had to. In several experiments, people are able to resist the effects of ego depletion when given a strong incentive to do so. In contrast, increasing effort is not an option when you must keep six digits in a short-term memory while performing a task. Ego depletion is not the same mental state as cognitive busyness. The most surprising discovery made by Bamister's group shows, as he puts it, that the idea of mental energy is more than a mere metaphor. The nervous system consumes more glucose than most other parts of the body, and effortful mental activity appears to be especially expensive in the currency of glucose. When you are actively involved in difficult cognitive reasoning engaged in a task that requires self-control, your blood glucose level drops. The effect is analogous to a runner who draws down glucose stored in her muscles during a sprint. The bold implication of this idea is that the effects of ego depletion could be undone by ingesting glucose, and Baumeister and his colleagues have confirmed this hypothesis. No hypothesis in several experiments. Volunteers in one of their studies watched a short silent film of a woman being interviewed and were asked to interpret her body language. While they were performing the task, a series of words crossed the screen in a slow succession. The participants were specially instructed to ignore the words, and if they found their attention drawn away, they had to refocus their concentration on the women's behavior. This act of self-control was known to cause ego depletion. All the volunteers drank some lemonade before participating in a second task. The lemonade was sweetened with glucose for half of them, with Splenda for the others. Then all the participants were given a task in which they needed to overcome an intuitive response to get the correct answer. Intuitive errors are normally much more frequent among ego-depleted people, and the drinkers of Splendor showed the expected depletion effect. On the other hand, the glucose drinkers were not depleted. Restoring the level of available sugar in the brain had prevented the deterioration of performance. It will take some time and much further research to establish whether the tasks that cause glucose depletion also cause the momentary arousal that is reflected in increases of pupil size and heart rate. A disturbing demonstration of depletion effects in judgment was recently reported in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. The unwitting participants in the study were eight parole judges. Um, oh, I'm cooking something. Sorry. Wow, my timer had run out, and I feel sober today, and I have just cooked a wonderful meal, and I will have that. I feel like uh, being the world's best cook right now, and anyways, at least in my language, because the food I have cooked feels like the very best to me right now. Anyways, um, but I was talking about this reading actually focuses on ego depletion. Like our cognitive capabilities are limited. At one point, I used to think like willpower is unlimited. Then I realized that if we try to exhibit too much control on uh, any specific behavior, um, that is not sustainable for longer term. Then I realized that like if I try to focus on the opposite spectrum, like what are the things I want to introduce in my life on a day-to-day basis, one day at a time, rather than I mean stopping my mind to go to this familiar pattern of relapsing again and again. So if I try to introduce that very often, or in a very frequent manner, that would be a good practice, which I did and it worked. This is a worked out strategy. And secondly, Kahneman talks about how ego gets depleted and affects us to take responses or important decisions based on intuition. So um, it actually drives into the conclusion that finding the right time to approach a person for any important decision, like whenever fully rested, you are, I mean, you are fully present, as well as none of your emotional triggers present there, but triggers are always there. Like, I mean, I'm still trying to make sense of the statement being fully present, because uh, with my conscious presence I am present, but the thing is that I am always not without my traumas, my subconscious beliefs, or my delusions. So being fully present mean I am fully present, and being full, I am receptive, I am willing to listen, and I am willing to judge with an open mind and open heart, without any kind of previous trauma, or any kind of previous subconscious beliefs, or emotional triggers involved. That's this understanding I have right now, but this may change in future. So that's it. Hopefully, I will be trying to become regular in the reading, because it gives me some kind of better energy for the day. This is I'm trying to cultivate a better, um, I would say, emotional energy to go through my days. So thanks a lot again for listening.